Hey folks, it's Roy from Geeks Adventures. Woohoo! Broadcasting from Studio Beta in the townhome in the Clintonville section of Columbus, Ohio. Couple days to Christmas. Woo! Yay! And doing a review today of the second most controversial film of the year. No, the other one. You know what the other one is. The one about the Last Jedi, Jay. Give me some time. No, talking about the other one, the one about another legend, another about a master, and also a master. It is Birth of the Dragon. If memory serves, a rough cut of this movie made it to the Toronto Film Festival. Was it last year? I think, last fall. To a whole lot of "You did not do that." The film is basically meant to encapsulate the history of the legendary Bruce Lee Wong Jackman fight. Now there are a bunch of you. There's going to be most of you are going, what, Bruce Lee fought like an MMA thing? And a bunch of others are going, oh, that fight. Okay. Disclaimer, I'm not a huge martial arts expert, so I have not memorized 5 bajillion biographies of Bruce Lee. I'm the umpteenth fanboy geek who's seen pretty decent number of martial arts films, kind of memorized Dragon of Bruce Lee story. So the story goes is that, okay, he was trying to teach everybody in California kung fu, and the old school Sifus all went, you do not do that. Only Chinese get to learn this stuff. To which Bruce Lee, for a long list of reasons, ranging from, look, we want to teach culture, yada yada yada, to, you ain't ever gonna tell me who I can and cannot teach. So in response, of course, every Sifu went, you ain't telling us nothing, you punk-ass mofo. So they sent a kung fu master, Wong Jackman, to fight him. Yes, someone was sent in to throw down knowingly against Bruce Lee. And if Bruce Lee wins, I can teach whoever I want. And if Bruce Lee loses, you ain't ever gonna teach anybody else about Chinese people. Well, as you can tell at this point, now the story, how the fight went, ranges on who you talk to. Ranges anywhere from, yeah, Bruce Lee kicked his ass, to, it was a draw. But we're gonna let Bruce teach whoever he wants anyway. So the film was meant to be kind of a treat on that. Maybe not necessarily settle how exactly happened, but, give a point of view on the story. Well, when the film was first made out in its rough cut, there was lots of interesting things being said. Not so much about what happened in the fight, but the fact that, as you're watching the story, what happens is that, at least in the initial viewing, people were talking about, why is this white boy the main character? A student of Bruce Lee, becomes, at least in the rough cut, becomes kind of like the central character of the film. He runs into someone who is a young lady who is basically in servitude with a Chinese restaurant, and wants to help her, yada yada yada. Bruce Lee gets involved, to which everyone went, why do I care about this boy when it's a movie about Bruce Lee? So things got kind of weird and twitchy. The director was kind of under siege for a while, going, look, it's a rough cut. All right. So I was kind of curious because the trailers actually look really, really cool. So, got it on Amazon, real cheap. So what's the result? Actually, it's an interesting, kind of fun movie to watch. Now you're kind of wondering, so what's the deal with this kid? Here's the deal, okay? There are 20 billion autobiographies about Bruce Lee. Dragon, of course, Bruce Lee story, probably the one that a lot of people are familiar with. But I imagine there are 20 bajillion Hong Kong imports, all this kind of whatnot. So there's lots of stuff about the guy already. How much do we know about Wong Jackman? I actually probably should have Googled something about him before I started this. Sorry. So the story, yes, it sometimes feels like this kid is the central character. He's really not. He's kind of like Watson, actually. And you're going, he's what? Here's the deal. You've got so much information about Bruce Lee, you get kind of overwhelmed by him. Okay, he's a hero. No. Actually, a better way of putting it is actually the way Bruce Lee talks about he's a legend. He wants to be a legend. So what's the what's the point? The idea is actually having the student as central character is actually a good way to kind of bridge the gap between Bruce Lee and Wong Jack-man, because really we don't know a whole lot about this guy. At least I don't. You find out through the story that Wong Jack-man was actually, he obviously has to be a badass Shaolin Kung Fu master, 1-inch punch, yeah, whatever. Well, what you discover, he's kind of on a journey of his own. During a demo match, he almost kills someone. And basically the way he did is because rather than be respectful, given to the sense of honor and everything, kind of loses his temper and nails a guy in a demonstration match. So he comes over. He is introduced as someone. He's kind of doing penance. He's kind of like on a walkabout, if you will, to make amends for what happened. And kind of inadvertently, sort of gets caught in the middle of all this too. So you're introduced to Wong Jack-man as a character he's an antagonist. He eventually gets drawn into the fine, I'll fight the kid. And you discover that actually he has his own reasons to try and help out the student. Steve McKee, played by Billy Magnuson. And actually you get to also kind of see why Wong Jack-man would actually take up the challenge. Even friends of Bruce, and you watch autobiographies, they'll tell you that Bruce could be a little cocky, and at this point, he is young. He's like in his early 20s. He is brash. And at this point, keep in mind, this is a guy who's had to fight, struggle, claw. It's a good thing he learned how to fight on the street, because that's the only way he managed to survive all the other bull crap he's had to endure with. From not just the sense of racism isn't coming just from America, where you're just a China man. Why don't you just work in the laundry and all that kind of crap? He's unfortunately dealing with it from the Chinese as well, who are obviously no, you don't teach non-Chinese kung fu, you jackass. So you can kind of understand where he gets this arrogance and bite me, mofo, read between the lines kind of mentality he has in the film. But on the other hand, Wong Jack-man, he sees him. He sees the one of the demonstrations in California, and unfortunately gets to see some of the darker sides of Bruce Lee. And basically, which starts not so much the antagonism, but the fact that Wong Jack-man looks at Bruce Lee and goes, "Kid, man, you're a jackass. You're kind of a lot of things that are wrong with learning a fighting system, dude." As the film progresses, they kind of see both sides of each other, which is the cool thing about the film. So in the end, actually, it's a kind of cool story. There is the fight scenes in the film. Wow, the duel between Wong Jack-man and Bruce Lee is amazing. Now, from the assorted interviews I've read, basically what happened, the way the fight is viewed is either A, Bruce kicked the living crap out of this guy in 5 minutes, or the alternative is the other guy actually put up a dang good fight. The fight's amazing. As fun as seeing Wire Fu and all the stylized stuff is, just seeing a straight up fight scene like this is amazing. And you see a lot of outstanding stuff through the whole movie. There's actually, at the end, there is this wonder. What happens is, as the story progresses, I wouldn't say they become friends, but the Wong Jack-man and Bruce Lee do come to an understanding in the story. Whether that actually happens in real life, who knows at this point? I mean, hey, this is one of the interesting things about the 20th and 21st century history. Because this is pre-YouTube era. There are no witnesses. There is no film. There's no anything of the fight. So there is unfortunately no official way of viewing this, or even official way of what exactly happened at the end of all this. But at least in this story, they kind of form a truce and end up helping the kid Steve McKee to actually rescue the woman he's fallen in love with, yada yada yada. And there is this great kind of like good cop bad cop moment as these two guys kick the living crap out of half of Chinatown. It's amazing. Oh my god, it's so fun to watch. Philip Ning plays Bruce Lee. He's really good. He manages to carry the arrogance, the skill, every facet of Bruce Lee incredibly well. And let's see. I'm sorry for mispronouncing this. Xia Yu, who plays Wang Jackman, also wonderful as the martial arts master. He manages to. He doesn't come off as preachy, because it's easy to sound like I am the Shaolin master. I know the right way to do these things, or at the same time, to have all the philosophical junk that usually comes out in films like this sound like philosophical junk rather than sounding very sincere, sounding like you're really trying to teach someone. So it was very, very well done. Billy Magnuson has the unfortunate duty of being Steve McKee. Like I said, he's Watson. And he's the guy who helps to kind of bridge the gap between everything, who gets to introduce us to these two martial arts legends, basically. So overall, honestly, it's a fun thing to watch because you get to see yes, Bruce Lee is a legend, yada, yada, yada. This kind of humanizes him a little bit because there are times when you're looking at this going, Bruce, man, you gotta, Bruce. Oh, boy. Yes, the Dragon the Bruce Lee story is still the definitive biography, if you will, for his life. But if you want to see another section and see another point of view, film's definitely worth watching. And you know what? All that aside, you want to see some amazing kung fu fighting? Wow. Haven't seen this much awesomeness since Jet Li and Jackie Chan had their fight in Forbidden Kingdom. It is epic. So hey, if you get a chance to catch this online, if you can find it really cheap in a bin somewhere, it's a lot of fun. So hey, there you go. Hope you all have a very, very good holiday. May the force be with you. May the odds forever be in your favor. And as always, folks, let's be good to each other. All right. It's not just a Christmas thing. It's not just a holiday thing. It's a good thing. Peace, peeps. Bye!